Soul Garden.
Hello, Your Honor, and welcome to Soul Horoscopes Weekly Edition. My name is Christopher Witecki. Well, when I last left the judge and juries of the zodiac, the Librans, the rulers of the intention of balance, which is I give, I receive. That's ultimately what you rule on Earth when Earth gives or receives. And that is what has led to this huge imbalance in finances and other things on planet Earth. The Librans themselves have been a bit lost on when things should be balanced and what determines balance, represented by Saturn in your sign. You've been working on a new ego consciousness that will stand up for these new give-receive principles, and you've been working on them really since late 2009. So this whole year has been building up to your birthday period, where you begin to assert your latest rule structure of when you give and when you receive. And during Scorpio, it was about making necessary cuts in your life as far as what you invest in, what you don't, who you invest in, who you don't. A lot of friendship changes for Librans during their birthday period, and in Scorpio it was the actual cutting that had to happen. For you, during Sun Scorpio, it was about making those cuts to preserve your own integrity, to preserve where you want to have soul capital. Perhaps making changes, launching parts of a business or some product as well, but still, whatever you were doing, deep cuts. This particular Sun in Scorpio was definitely a deep one. I think we made some decade changes. That brings us to where we last left off, which was Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving evening, actually, we had a solar eclipse in Sagittarius. After the painful cuts made, boom, a big positive leap in your mind and in your attitude. And that's what this is about this particular period. With the Sun in Sagittarius, the Librans are working on their intellectual state of awareness, the I think intention. I think this and I think that. Right? This is what Geminis are excellent at. And what you're doing is upgrading your mind and the process and rules of your mind so that they are in concert with where you want to go. Now, you are a very intellectual air sign anyway, so the way your mind operates is extremely important. A judge with a bad attitude, right? What does that lead to? Maybe a lot of convictions or false convictions or maybe wasted time. So this last 10 days since Thanksgiving and that solar eclipse has been about you making cuts to maybe certain thought processes, maybe going negative, maybe being prejudiced to certain situations, maybe falling into mind games, and maybe at the end of the day, just not half full. At the end of the day, if you want to be a fair judge, you better have an attitude in life of half full. You have to. Otherwise, if you're half empty all the time and your mind thinks you're half empty, well then you're going to have more wrongful convictions. And that thing you're afraid of being, which is an unfair judge, well, you will be an unfair judge if you walk in with a negative attitude. So the last 10 days, cutting certain rhetoric, maybe cutting conversation, maybe cutting people off of your Skype list, but cutting, and that leads us to where we start this week. We're in Chapter 2 of Sun in Sagittarius. In this next week, until the next 7-day forecast, it is time to determine the attitude that you do want to adopt, all right, in your mind. And recognize that you've got to point the mind somewhere. And it's always going to be critical no matter where you point it. I look at our mind as a smartass that works for us. That's right. That's how I look at it. You know, I think the world has overgrown the intellectual state of awareness since the birth of science. Hey, it's okay. I'm not defaulting science. But we certainly have forgotten other parts of our consciousness, thinking the mind is the end-all and be-all. And all these pharmaceuticals to help us with the end-all, be-all. Truth is, mind works for us. Mind works for your heart, actually. And it's going to go out and fetch and understand and negotiate the contract for what your heart wants. Your mind does not have an answer it hasn't already seen. Therefore, when you're going after the intangible, when you're going after the impossible, your mind has very little business in that business, because until it sees it, it doesn't know what the heck it's talking about. So it's time to adopt a philosophy, what I call the live, love, be. That's my attitude. I live, love, me all the time. That is my attitude. You might want to find yours, and in this next 7 days, you will. Now, on Monday, Uranus ruling the day, so there might be a breakdown. Unfortunately, some argument, some email, something that exposes attitude and versus another attitude. That's Gemini. You get two options, the grass is greener syndrome. So Monday could be great, Monday could be hard, depends on where you are. Those watched over by the GA agency, we will be texting heavily on Monday to make sure you keep the right attitude, keep you in the right spirit, and of course go back to your date of birth. So Monday, a very profound day, but by Tuesday, the moon moves into Taurus. This will make you feel a little vulnerable, just so you know. And with the moon in Taurus, it is possible that you want to over-dramatize the situation, all right? But at the same time, this is setting up a soul pyramid. With the moon in Taurus, we will have a soul pyramid that stretches from the moon to Pluto in Capricorn and over to Mars in Virgo. All right, and what this really is a reminder of this summer. This summer, with Jupiter passing through the space of Taurus and then retrograding back, it was introducing to Librans new rules of when they trust or don't trust, introducing new ideas of what intimacy can be, exposing where there wasn't intimacy, exposing those you couldn't trust, and certainly making you face any demons that you have surrounding trust. So if you have a wound from your past where trust was violated, that came back up this summer. With the moon in Taurus on Wednesday, emotions are suddenly filled with those issues. Hopefully you've gotten past them in a negative way, so you're feeling strong, but you might feel weak as well. This is why I'll be texting pretty heavily. Make sure you're supported. But what this really is about is moving forward with Mars. Mars in Virgo saying, hey, let's cut those weeds. Let's end those demons. Let's build a faith in ourselves that is unwavering. Mars will be in Virgo pushing and pushing for Librans to believe in themselves no matter what. And you probably will not have evidence. That's what faith lessons are about. No, there won't be evidence. No, there won't be proof. No, nobody will tell you you're on the right path. That is true faith building, and we'll be there for you. Then what does this do? Well, Venus in Capricorn. What this inevitably does is plant the seeds of new laws of giving and receiving. Probably laws that are circulating around you having faith in yourself. You're not going to give until you feel good. Maybe that's the law. But new laws in the fourth house, new laws of giving and receiving as a result of feeling that trust issue from the summer and then facing those weeds. So could be tough, could be easy. If it's tough, I just got to say that's how much work you had waiting for you that you didn't get done last time. Now that brings us to Friday. The moon still in Taurus, so you're still feeling vulnerable, but time to make some key decisions. Now the decisions go back to how you think, right? The sun in Sagittarius saying, all right, time to decide what's your attitude. In other words, you may have to have life go bad and you sit there in a closet going, live, love, be, live, love, be, live, love, be. Sometimes we've got to reprogram ourselves to that level in order to really have that faith. So having to commit to that faith, again, if you're manifesting drama to get you there, that's the way you're deciding to learn. Then over the weekend, the real powerful shift, which is a lunar eclipse happening in Gemini. Now this will be all in the head. This is a mind storm in the head. Remember, a lunar eclipse is in fact a tug-of-war between the sun and the moon. This is a tug-of-war in your case between what you believe. That's what the moon is filling you with, is passionate about your beliefs, passionate about what your philosophies are, passionate about your religion. Suddenly you are fueled emotionally with what you believe in. But remember, what that's doing is encouraging you to let go and change of certain attitudes. Hey, if you want to live this new belief structure, you want to live by that faith, you want to live by those beliefs with that full moon in Gemini, well then your mind cannot keep undercutting you every turn of the way. Or your mind has got to stay positive. Your mind's got to look at the bright side. You know, you've got to shift. You know better with this, Libra. It's just that there's not necessarily evidence in the moment, and so you're going to really have to commit the mind without tangible evidence. But that's how manifestation works. We have a thought, and then we act, and then it manifests, right? So Saturday, a very intense day. And what happens as a result of that full moon, lunar eclipse, is it frees Mars. By committing to this mental attitude, you're actually committing to the battle attitude. The attitude that will whack the weeds. The attitude that will cut these old issues out from childhood. It is an attitude of perseverance, ultimately, I think, for most Librans, because you are a candle in the wind. Your energy is very delicate. To be a master at balance means that you have to be sensitive to both vibrations. This makes you a sensitive creature. So it is all a mental thing that will get you over your hump. And on Saturday, the universe is saying, what is that attitude? What is your battle cry? On Sunday, things really shift, calm down. The moon shifts into Cancer, and also the sun is ruled by Taurus. So on Sunday, you're definitely going to just want to slide in a home plate. And probably you might even be thinking about, okay, what is career going to do? Well, that sort of thing. Emotions are kind of shifting to career, and you're wanting to relax. All right, Libra. Now, if you're interested in where your dating life is in all of this, well, I have that report. It's called the Weekend Love and Lust Report. That goes live on Fridays. So there's a chance I'll see you again this week. If you're watched over by the Garden Agency, I recommend it. This is a tough time, and we are here for you always. We'll be texting you through the week. Otherwise, Libra, I'll see you in 7 days. Until then, my attitude is, I live, love, be.v.
So